Good morning. Today's lesson is 5.1, Division Patterns with Decimals. Today's essential question, how can patterns help you place the decimal point in a quotient? Let's unlock the problem. The Healthy Wheat Bakery uses 560 pounds of flour to make 1,000 loaves of bread. Each loaf contains the same amount of flour. How many pounds of flour are used in each loaf of bread? You can use the powers of 10 to help you find the quotients. Dividing by the power of 10 is the same as multiplying by 1/10, 1/100th, or 1,000ths. Let's underline the sentence that tells you what you're trying to find out. Just like when you're coding your math test. How many pounds of flour are used in each loaf of bread? So that's the question that we're trying to find out. Now, the next part says, circle the numbers you're going to need to use. So let's circle those numbers. We're going to need to know 560 pounds, and we're going to need to know that there were 1,000 loaves. So let's solve this. One way, we're going to use place value patterns. First, we're going to divide 560 divided by 1,000. Let's look for a pattern in these products in the quotients. As I'm reading, 560 times 1 is 560. 560 times 1/10 is 56. The decimal's moving over, making it a smaller number. To the left, 560 by 1/100th. Now I'm moving my decimal over 2 spaces, making it an even smaller number. 560 times 1,000th, I move the decimal over 3 spaces, making it an even smaller number than that. So 560 divided by 1 is 560. 560 divided by 10 is 56. 560 divided by 100 is 5.6, and 560 divided by 1,000 is 56 hundredths. So, 56 hundredths of a pound of flour is used in each loaf of bread. As you divide by increasing powers of 10, how does the position of the decimal point change in the quotient? Well, the decimal point moves 1 place to the left for each increasing power. So as I increase the power, so it goes over 1. When I have it by hundredths, it's over by 2. When I have it by thousands, it's over 3. Another way, let's use the exponents. We're going to divide 560 divided by 10 to the third power because 1,000 is 10 to the third power. So let's look for a pattern. We have 560 divided by 10 to with nothing as the power is 560, because it's kind of the same thing as dividing it by 1, right? But the first power of 10, I move my decimal over 1. The second power of 10, I move my decimal over 2. So the third power of 10, I'm going to move my decimal over 3 times. So I'm going to end up with 0.560, or 56 hundredths. Each divisor or power of 10 is 10 times the divisor before it. How do the quotients compare? Each quotient is 1/10 of the quotient before it. So this quotient is 1/10 of this one, this quotient is 1/10 of this one, and this quotient is 1/10 of this one. Let's connect. Dividing 10 is the same as multiplying by 1/10, or finding 1/10 of a number. Example, Liang uses 25 5/10 pound of tomatoes to make a large batch of salsa. He uses 1/10 as many pounds of onions as pounds of tomatoes. He uses 1/100th as many pounds of green peppers as pounds of tomatoes. How many pounds of each ingredient did Liang use? So the tomatoes is 25 5/10. So 25 5/10 divided by 10, right? Because they said 1/10. So we're going to think 25 and 5/10 divided by 1, well, that's 25.5, right? 25 and 5/10. 25 and 5/10 divided by 10, now we're going to move the decimal over 1 space, right? So it's going to be 2.55. So the green peppers is 25 5/10 pound divided by 100. So now, because that's what it says here, right? It's 1/100th, whereas this one was 1/10. So first I'm going to think 25.5 divided by 1, we already said on the other one, is 25.5. So 25 2.5 divided by 10. Now I remember I moved my decimal over 1. I have 2.55. Again, 25.5. This time divided by 100, I'm going to move my decimal over one more time. So it's going to be 0.255. So Lang uses 2.55 pounds of onions and 0.255 pounds of green peppers. Okay, so let's complete the pattern. So we have 32 and 6/10 divided by 1, which is going to be 32 and 6/10. Then we have 32 divided by 10, so I'm going to move my decimal over 1, so it's going to be 3.26, or 3 and 26/100. Now I'm dividing it by 100, so now I'm going to move my decimal place over one more time. It's going to be 0.326. Okay, let's the next one. It's the same thing. 10 to the 0 power is the same thing as multiplying it by 1. So I have 50.2, or 50 and 2/10, and it's going to be the same, 50 and 2/10. Then when I'm multiplying it by the power of 1, I'm going to move my decimal over one space. It's going to be 5.02. Then when I'm multiplying it by 2 powers of 10, I'm going to move it over 2 spaces. So now it's going to be 0.502, or 502 thousandths. So let's look at the share and show. We have 456 divided by 10 to the power of 0 is going to be 456. No change, because it's like multiplying time, or it's like dividing by 1. Then when I have 456 divided by the first power of 10, I move my decimal point over one space, right? When I'm multiplying by 456 divided by the second power of 10, I'm moving my decimal place 2 places over. Now that I'm multiplying 456 divided by 10 to the third power, I'm going to move it over 3 times. So the answer is going to be 0.456, because I had to move it over 1, 2, 3 times. The dividend is being divided by an increasing power of 10, so the decimal point will move to the left one place. So left one place for each increasing power of 10. All right, so let's go ahead and complete the pattern. So 225 divided by 10, the 0 power of 10 is going to remain 225. 10 to the first power, I'm going to move my decimal over one space, so it's going to be 2.5. The second power of 10, I'm going to move it over 2 spaces, so it's going to be 2.25. Third power of 10, I'm going to move it over 3 spaces, so it's going to be 0.225, or 225 thousandths. Let's do the next one. 605 divided by the 0 power of 10. It's going to remain 605, because that's like dividing it by 1. The first power of 10 is going to give me 60.5, because I'm moving my decimal over one space. The second power of 10, I'm moving it over 2 spaces, so it's going to be 6.05. The third power of 10, I'm moving it over 3 spaces, so it's going to be 0.605. Okay, let's do the next one. 74.3, or 74 and 3/10 divided by 1 is going to remain 74 and 3/10. When I'm dividing by 2, I'm going to move my decimal over one space, so it's 7.43. When it's divided by 100, I'm going to move it over 3 spaces, so it's going to be 0.743, or 743 thousandths. Okay, you are going to continue on your own, all right? I did want to show you down here on the hot problems. It has 268 divided by a number equals 0.268. So you need to see, how many spaces did I move it over? I moved it over 1, 2, 3 spaces. What's going to be moving it over 3 spaces? I could say 10 to the power of 3, or that's the same thing as saying 1,000. Either one of those answers would work. Okay, so you're going to have to figure out what the n is. So over here, they gave me the power of 10, but they did not give me what this was. I know what this one is, so if this is the power of 2 and it was moved over 2 spaces, then this, if I move it back 2 spaces, I'm going to be able to figure out what the n was. Same with this one. This is the first power of 10. They give me the answer, so if I move it back a space, I'm going to be able to figure out what the n is. If you need me, I will be on the carpet to help, and you can also work with a partner. Good luck, guys.